Hey, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, one half of the team at DungeonSwag.com. And I have this Bugbear that needs painted. Make sure that white's completely dry before I get started. Alright. Same thing as all the other minis. This one was not sent to me by DungeonSwag, even though we do own the print. This is one that I printed myself because I wanted to paint it, and it might be in an upcoming box. So ASCO did not send this to me using the resin we use for our miniatures. This is like the cheapest Amazon resin there is, because I paint so many minis. I could not afford to use the resin we use to send your miniatures out to you guys. I just couldn't. So I think what I want to do first on him is I want to do his skin. He's got a lot of skin. We're going to do his skin in this sand golem. It's like a lighter brown. When you use speed paints, the secret is to have your brush wet enough that you can spread it around easily and evenly. Okay? So he's got a lot of skin. And it's sometimes when you have this highlighted like this, you can see it real easy, and sometimes you can't. On this model, I used way too much white. So some of his skin's going to be, later on we're going to see I missed some, I'm sure. Okay. But again, we're trying to keep these paint jobs in about an hour. Make them good enough to look nice on the table. But we don't want you to be ashamed of them when you're done. We want you to, if you're following along and doing what I'm doing, we want you to enjoy your miniatures and like them and think they're pretty. Think they look awesome. So, as usual, I am making a giant mess and coloring outside the lines. So on these straps and stuff, we'll have to come back later and hit those with a different color. That's alright though. It's alright. I had a very long day, and I had a very long drive, if you're wondering why I'm shaking so bad. I just am probably past my expiration date for today. That's alright. Let's just try not to screw this mini up. Right? Right. Just trying to get all that flesh, which is very hard to do when I'm shaking this bad. But we didn't have a video yesterday because I was out of town, so we got to get one today. So it looks like we got flesh on his legs here exposed. Get in there. Cover those up. Cover up that skin. Alright. Painting is supposed to be relaxing, so if you want a lesson learned right now, since I'm kind of like shaking and stuff, the smart play would be to stop, go eat, take a rest, make sure I'm in the right mode to paint. But we're making a video here, so we can't do that, because that would require me going to edit, and I don't edit my videos. I just make them and put them out. If I start editing them, then they become a job, and I won't enjoy it. I already have a job that I enjoy, and I have no desire to turn this into a job. This is just something fun I do. Maybe to sell some minis, or maybe to help someone on their journey to become a crafter or a painter or whatever they might be. If you're coming here for tutorials on how to be awesome, you're in the wrong spot. Or if you're coming here to see how to throw some paint down and get something looking good for your table real quick, then you're in the right spot for that. With the exception of the goblins I did, I think everything else was pretty much good for a tabletop. The goblins, I don't know how I feel about those. I've painted goblins. Traditionally, I've done them all black and dry brushed them down to what I wanted, and I think I like that dingier kind of goblin than the bright ones that I did. But that's a personal preference thing, you know? Okay. I think we got all his skin covered from what I can tell. Alright, so let's come back. Let's paint his base while some of that dries. We're going to use, where'd I put it? We're going to use some of this craft paint for the base and a really cheap brush. This is Burnt Umber. It's Apple Barrel from Walmart. It's a very cheap paint. And if you're not into that, that's fine. You can use whatever paint you want, but on these bases, I don't like my bases to outshine my miniatures. I want my bases to look good and functional. But I'm not putting, 5 or 6 hours into miniatures anymore. I don't have the time. So I put about an hour into miniatures. And I don't want the base to be so cool that it just kind of takes away from the little bit of effort I put in on this mini. Looks like we got about a week or so until the next DungeonSwag box starts getting going. I'll probably get one of those on the 2nd or 3rd of the month, most likely, unless he sends me mine early, which he doesn't do. Alright, let's put that away. Yeah, get this mini painted. Maybe go take a shower. We have paint night tonight. That'll be fun. I always like paint night. Let's come back with our regiment brush and do some of this metal, because it looks like there's quite a bit. Oh, I am mistaken. As I'm looking at this hammer, that is a tree. Okay. And then let's figure out what we're going to do about our metal then. So these rings are metal, I'm assuming. And then he's got on his back here some little when you're doing this fine stuff, right now is probably not a good example because I am shaking, but if you pretend you're drawing with a pen and coloring inside the lines on this stuff, it makes it, for some reason, it's just like a psychological thing for me. It makes it way easier to paint them. And we're going to do this bottom part of this hammer. I'm pretty sure that's metal. Alright. And this part that holds the tree in place is most likely metal, and so is that strap going around would be my next guess. Did all that with some metal. This thing on his belly here is probably metal. And maybe the front of these anklets or whatever they are. Could be metal. I don't see any more metal. Not nearly as much metal as I had planned on. Alright, so now we're going to do his garments. And his cloak, we're going to do in something probably mid-tone. We're going to do his clothing underneath here in a darker tone. Let's get out that dark wood and a smaller brush. And hit in between there. Now these bones, obviously we're going to come back and do those in a really light. So we're going to come back and hit those with white again. But we got to get in the between them, you know what I mean, with the brown, dark brown. And we got to go. It's too much. Let me pull that out. We got to hit this outer portion of his belt, of his championship tag team title belt. Just come around the side, paint this. You can hit the belt part, like the thin leather strap part too. We're going to come back and hit that with some other color later. We just want to get his undergarments and stuff all colored in with this nice rich dark wood. It looks good, I think. I'm going to hit this bottom part a little thicker because I want that to be a little darker. Alright, get up under here. I think we're going to do the back of his boots with that same. Yeah, we're going to use that dark brown back here too. I said I was going to do a medium tone on that cloak, but I wonder how that would look with a not real dark, but like a darkish gray. That might look nice. Alright, I think we got his undergarments for the most part. Let's get this here. Darken that up. Maybe this little strap on his chest, we'll just touch it and see what it looks like, because I don't know what it's supposed to be. I think it's just like the thing that hooks his shoulder pads together. I think he's got a goatee there, but I'm going to bring that out with a dry brush. I'm not even going to try to fight with that with this. I'm not even going to try fighting with it. Get around that dark area around the metal ring. Darken that up. We'll have to hit all that stuff with white before we try to do it again, you know? Starting to look all right. We're starting to get there. Now that hood looks like it's independent from the cloak, but part of me wants that to be the same color, so I'm going to leave it to potentially be that. And then we'll see afterwards if I like it where it's at. Nice. Alright, we need to do, let's get a medium brown and do his wrist guards. Oh! No wonder, I'm using that really cheap, crappy brush. I'm like, man, this thing is not doing what I wanted to at all. Man, I'm the worst. Alright, hardened leather is the medium brown. Dang it. I was like, man, that's really hard to control, and the tip is in terrible shape. I need to swap brushes. But it was just my stupidity was the problem. We're cool. Cool, y'all. Nice. Man, I was starting to bug. I really was. I was like, oh crap. This is terrible. When you use the same stuff all the time, you kind of like just know how it's going to do when you want to use it for something. And I've been using these same brushes for so long that it's like, when it's not acting right, I know it. Just gonna touch the tops of these sandals with this same medium brown. So you don't want them to be the same color as the skin down there. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yep. Go around the sandals and get the leather part with that. Alright, I think we've captured about what we need to capture out of that. Oh, I don't know why I just did that. I was just pointing at that part to show you something, and I just colored it funny. Let me get this little bit of leather here with this brown, just so it's not white when I come over it with a lighter brown to paint it. Because I'm going to bring that all the way around to the sides too, but for now it's not the plan. If anybody wants to get a free miniature and you haven't gotten one from us before for free, Scorbic has a thing on there. If you go on the Discord and on the website, you can click on a miniature that says it costs $2, and then you can go to the Discord and get a code and put in that code, and it'll make it free. And that's not just the miniature that's free either. I mean, that's the shipping and the whole shebang that's free. So if you like free minis, that could be the deal for you. Alright. We got some touch-up work to do on some white areas. Let's get a little bit of white and get that going. And then let's get some yellow and do some of this flesh work that needs done. I say yellow. I am not committed to that just yet. So we have flesh work that we need to do here on this ram's horn. Then we got this little horn on his shoulder here. That's going to need some fixing. And on his arm, it looks like we did okay missing white there. And we got this bone over here. Touch that up. And if that speed paint's still a little bit wet right there, that's alright, dude. Alright. Let's get the rocks on his base real quick. This is craft paint again. In my opinion, it is ideal to use a larger brush for this kind of stuff, but since I just have this brush in my hand, I'm using this to quickly coat this in gray. I'm looking at the timer here. We're about 20 minutes in. So if we pick up our pace, we might not even run an hour on this one. If you're following along and you're ahead of me, you're doing it right. Alright, so we got to deal with that cloak sooner than later, so let's get our gray out. Gravelord Gray. Let's get a workhorse brush, like the regiment brush, or whatever you like using. Get the tip nice and wet. Let's get in here and start doing up this. Now, if you have some other colors, like how I have a little bit of brown from his arm there, just blend that in with it a little bit. Don't even sweat it. Just, you know, get it doing. Let's get this in there nice and thick. Give this cloak some depth. Now we have that metal on the back here, and that's okay because metallic shows through speed paint pretty well. And then we can come back and hit that with a light dry brush if we want it to look more metallic when we're done. And it actually might give us a cool effect that we hadn't worked for or planned on. Okay. Get under the back there with that black or dark gray. And then see how that bled out a little bit and mixed? That's okay. Just come and hit it again real quick before we go. Let's do this hood. Now, I shouldn't have done anything with his ears till the hood was done, truth be told. Because you don't want to add extra steps. But part of me was like, let me hit these ears real quick. That was a mistake. Okay. Some white showing there that I didn't cover good. I'm just going to hit with that gray. It'll be alright. Alright, now we got to deal with skin. Now, we used that sandstone or whatever that was, sand golem for his skin. So we need to complement it with something yellow and brown. So we're going to get this desert yellow, which is like a pretty goldenroddy or whatever. We're going to get this light monster brown. We're going to start picking out some of his flesh tones that we want to play with. So we look at our guy's flesh tone, where it's at now. See that? And then we're going to go and we're going to wipe a lot of this off. And we're going to pick out some of that flesh tone we want to lighten up. We want to do something with. Like we know we want to do we want his face to be prominent. We want his hands to be lighter. Maybe his knees. Just the muscles on the top of his leg a little bit there. A little bit there. I kind of want to hit these fingers a little bit. They're a little too dark for me. There we go. Now let's hit his arm up here. Just drag it across. Now this is a little bit wet yet, so it's getting some down in the cracks and making the definition created by the speed paint not as significant, and that's good. That's what I wanted. If you want to leave that, then definitely don't do what I just did. Alright, we're going to lighten this up one more tone. Here we go, something like that. We're going to wipe a lot of that off. We're going to come back and hit the boobs again. And hit his face again. And just touch the tops of his hands lightly. Bring out a different skin tone on his fingers, his arm a little bit, his hand. Lighten those fingers up, make them pop. Just brush on the top parts of the muscles we want right there, nothing else. I'm not going to do anything with that leg. Let's hit this muscle here, in front of that, and then let's just touch his toes a little bit. Just to bring light out on his toes. Now we're going to get that same brown and a little bit of that white, and we're going to mix those here. And we're going to wipe a lot of that off. You can use corrugations of cardboard or whatever you want for this part, and then we're going to touch it, this beard part down here. We're just going to dry brush to show that he's got some facial hair there. It's just a little goatee thing. What's going on back here with this gray? I got that all up in his stuff. Alright, we're going to clean that up too while we're here. Get that yellow again. Lighten that up. Lighten up his mouth. His face a little bit. I'm just hitting some hot spots I want to hit. This much lighter yellow. Alright, so his ears. We'll lighten up the top of those a little bit. Careful not to hit the gray of his hood. And then we want to do something with his mouth. So, we are going to hit his teeth and stuff, but first, we're going to get the tiniest smush of red. We're going to touch inside his mouth with it. You want this to be real thin. Drag it out, pull it out, and get in there. And just drag that around a little bit in between his teeth and in that area. And we're going to hit his eyes. For that, we're just going to go, we're going to get this yellow here and this white here. We're just going to get in there. Underneath that brow ridge. Do some eyes. Then in the areas where we oversplashed on that, just get your goldenrod or whatever color you're using. Come back and clean that up. Now his teeth, we don't want to risk going too white with his teeth. So we're going to get this off-white here, the skeleton bone. And we're going to drag that across his teeth. So he has those two tusks on the bottom. He's got a little bit of teeth on top. These are not a major feature of the miniature, but we're going to use that same color mixed with yellow. We're going to drag that across some of that facial hair and stuff again. Just real, although I'm using that crappy brush again, damn it. Why do I keep grabbing this horrible brush? We're going to hit the edges of this shoulder guard too while we're here. And this one is this crappy brush. I'm really upset about this brush I keep grabbing. Put this brush over to the side so I quit grabbing it. Alright, here we go. A little bit of that, a little bit of that. There we go. This brush will do what I want. And we're just going to touch that goatee and a little bit of hair coming out from under his hood. And that little bit of hair back in that corner there. Okay. Get a little bit of that white. And we're just going to touch the tips of those under fangs. And his teeth. Alright, now we got to darken up those straps that we had all over him. We're going to use the same tiny brush and do that. We're just going to hit those straps with this monster brown. And remember, when you're painting straps and stuff, just assume you're using a pen and you're just coloring on a picture and you're coloring inside the lines. Like I said, I don't know how good that is for everybody. For me, it's a psychological thing, though. And then I get these ones on his legs. Then let's get that white and that brown. And let's hit these bones that we need to come back over with the speed paint. See, I got a little bit of white on his leg. Let's get my brush wet. Taking that with me. Straps on his sandals. Yeah, we could do those if we wanted, I suppose. Lighten those up. Get that fur around the top of his boot things there. We're going to hit that real quick too. Hit those straps. You don't want perfect coverage here. You're just trying to break up the tones. You know what I mean? You're not trying to paint these. They're already painted. You're just giving it a different texture and a different type of material it's made out of by doing that. And in the spots where you did a bad job, like this right here, I have a little bit of metal up on that fur, and you just fix it. We'll use a little bit more paint to fix it, you know. And then the middle of these bones need to be like this is a leather strap coming down holding them in place. So before we bring the speed paints to that, let's hit those back up and cover those up. Double touch that area I messed up on earlier. Now we're going to do his belt. Just coming around from the side here, just following it, coloring in the lines like I described. Okay. Alright. We're going to get that hardened leather again. I actually have some right here. So with that hardened leather, that hair that I lightened up coming out from under his hood, we're just going to hit that there and his goatee and that little bit of hair on this side. Careful. Ooh, I almost messed up his face. That irritated me. Now it's got a little bit of a reddish tone, and that's not what I was going for, but it actually it's tolerable. It doesn't look the worst. I'm going to hit this little bit of decorative stuff on his chest here with this gray and whatever color's on my brush right now mixed. Okay. I'm going to do these little straps back here with that same color that are holding the cloak, the metal things to the cloak. Alright, now let's get our bone color, our bone speed paint. And this is called Pallid Bone. Oops. And let's hit up all these skeletal parts on them. And we want to go a little thick on that. A little thick on that. It's okay. Get it in there, get it in the cracks. Make it look really, really good. And all the parts where the white wasn't perfect underneath, just drag it over there too. Drag it over all that. Then I'm going to hit these little spiral metallic things with this too. So they'll still look like metal under there. I'm going to hit his belt with this. And just use this to kind of blend in colors where they didn't meet. This is lighter than the skin tone and a bunch of other stuff on the mini. So we're just going to use that as a layer to fix mistakes or things I don't like. That's alright. You can do that. It's your mini. This guy's all very monochromatic. I'm not super happy with that. So we have a couple things we could do to fix that. One, you can do like a tie-in with dry brushing after he dries. Or two, you could do something kind of drastic. So I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to significantly lighten up this cloak when it dries. Because I think it's too much dark. And I think lightening up the cloak is probably our best option. But you know what we can do? Hold on. Let's get that one crappy brush I have that I like. Where's it at? Let's get this crappy brush. And some of this uniform gray. Let's wipe a lot of that off. Let's see if we can just kind of catch some of this cloak and lighten it up enough to where a little bit more. It's actually not terrible. I think lightening that up and a little bit is what we needed. So on the hood you got to be real careful because you've already done work on his face and ears and you don't want to ruin that. So just kind of drag it around. You don't have to hit every spot. Lighten that cloak up, or that hood up. And then down here in the middle and the back, be careful. And let's just lighten this up a little bit more. So I'm going to do one. This is probably where I'm going to make a mistake here. I'm going to go one shade lighter. I'm just leaving what I have in this brush and this brush. Getting a little bit of that. And I'm just going to pick out some of these folds. Alright, I think that might be what we needed there. And maybe I can yellow up his fingers and stuff a little more, bring those a little lighter. That might not be a bad idea. Let's get a different brush for that though. Let's get something like this. Lighten up the fingers a little bit. Give them a little more contrast. Yeah, that's how it goes right there. That's how you do it. Give us the look we want. We have a little cleanup stuff to do here and there. So we're going to do the same thing that we just did with the gray on some of these browns. Just to break those up a little bit. So on the handle of the hammer, we're just going to grab some of that, not all of that, some of that. Change the texture a little bit. Then on this wood part here, we're going to do the same thing. A little heavier. maybe on these side things here, and catch some of that leather. Lighten that up a little bit. Little dry brush on the sides of the backs of the boots. Starting to lighten him up a little bit again. Give him some different colors so he's not all monochromatic like he was. Then what we can do really to sell some of this that we haven't done yet, we can come around those straps or rags or whatever those are. Let's get some of this skeletal bone. And one of our smaller brushes, like this starter brush. I'm going to drag that out and get not a whole lot of paint. Let's hit these straps on the hammer, lighten those up. Not going for perfect or total coverage here, because we're going to come back over these with that whatever that really light speed paint is. What else can we hit? We can hit the fur around these, lighten that up a little tad. And that'd be perfect. Just drag it around there and find a lighter color. We're just trying to make this dude look a little different than he looks right now. Something like that. Starting to sweat. 'Tis be hot down here. Okay. We can lighten that up a little bit, really, I guess, by doing this. Just like almost a dry brush level now of that. Just to give it some different layers. We don't even need to hit that with speed paint, really. I think that looks okay. I probably should hit it with speed paint. And hit these bones a little, lighten those up. Some of the protrusions on his skull, lighten that up a little bit with this off-white. Pads on his shoulder here, lighten that up a little bit more. Catch some of that 3D what do you call it? Depth. He's starting to look alright, dudes. Alright, strap work. Not doing anything else with his eyes because they're up under that hood. So let's get something darker here. Oak brown. There we go. A little bit of oak brown. We'll run out of tape room here, kids. Small brush. Probably could even go with a fractional brush on this work to make it real easy, but we're just hitting these straps that hold these bones in place. And then I don't think the straps on his Arm guards look different enough, so I'm just going to darken just one of those each up. Okay. These little straps that hold the horn on his shoulders, we'll hit those real lightly. Now that is definitely an improvement of sorts. I'm going to darken this up a little bit too. A strap that holds all those. I'd like to clean that up a little bit right there. Alright, much gooder, dudes. I'm going to hit this with speed paint. Darken that inside there a little bit. Alright. Pallid bone speed paint, just a little bit there, boop. We're going to do that around the hammer. These straps. Nice. Too much. Sick. That's the cleanup job we needed right there, kids. On his cloak, I want to hit that metal up a little bit so it sticks out that it's metal. And whenever you're doing any kind of dry brush on the silver, you don't always want to use your darkest silver. Sometimes using a lighter one and doing less work makes a bigger difference. So we are now going to get that shining silver, send it out, wipe it off. We're going to hit those rings up, just the top parts of them. A little bit of that metallic's already showing through from the where we did it with the speed paint. Alright, so we're going to use that same shining silver. We're going to catch some of the detail on this. Just the top parts of that. Back on the hammer. A couple of those spikes. Come up here. Just touching the top of that spiral. Making that silver again. Alright. I'd say we did it. I'd say we got him. We need to finish his base. So let's wash this brush. Let's grab another brush and work on his base. Let's get that cheap brush. Let's get what's left of this brown here. And this here. Make a lighter color. Because dirt's not all one color. And get it painted around. Yeah, boy. And then we want to get some gray. Hit these rocks up. I can touch a couple spots on the ground with that too. Maybe this hobgoblin lives in a place where the ground is dying. The ground is in peril. Alright, we're going to get some black. I'm running out of spot on my little dude here, so I didn't want to waste another piece of tape for this. Remember, your brush needs to be wet when you're doing this part. You're coming around here and you want it to be wet because you don't want this to glob and snag and leave like chunky spots. When you're doing any kind of fast stuff like this, wetter is better, I promise. And all we're doing is catching the areas where I don't have any of the fake dirt, which is just baking soda, or yeah, baking soda on super glue. Come around, hit the outside of the base. My cheapy old brush goes around the outside, Boo-doo-doo. Better watch or I might catch a diss track. Alright. We gotta hit that with a hair dryer because I want to put some glue down and get some flock on the base. dab of clear glue. Cheapy brush. One with stiffer bristles is better for you because you got to get it down in all the little cracks in your texture here. And you get your flock and your spoon. All right, now, is he tabletop ready? Well, he's going to need a clear coat to get rid of all that shine. I would say he's 90% of the way there, but we're coming up on our hour and we don't have a lot more time. So we are going to clear coat him after he dries, take him up on the table, put him in play with some other minis or on a terrain or something so we can get a good picture of him. And then we are going to go from there and make a thumbnail. So thanks for watching. If you guys like the minis and you like what we're doing here, www.dungeon-swag.com, and if you look in the description of the video, there will be the Discord and the website there. Feel free to join us for paint nights, generally on Thursday nights. We post them in our Facebook group. If you hop on the Discord, we can give you the Facebook group too, I suppose. But I really appreciate everybody's time. And hope you like what we did here. Thanks for watching.